Hello and welcome to the kitchen table. It's Alison Southern here and it's Wednesday and we're just going to have another chat about life, the world, what's happening and what I've been thinking about. I have to say it's been quite a tough couple of days. I've been talking to somebody who's battling, and I really mean a battle, with COVID-19. And in the midst of all that, there have been questions about why me? Why is God letting this happen? How is it happening? Those are questions which are huge and nobody has the answers to. One of the things about life certainly in the Western world today is that we like to believe we've got control. We're in charge, we can be the masters of our own destiny. That's not true, of course, but it's a reality that we like to place around ourselves because it makes us more comfortable. If there's been one thing that this pandemic has shown, is that life can change beyond recognition within the smallest of time. And we find ourselves having to adjust and readjust. And we find ourselves having to turn to other things to make sense of what's happening. When we were having the conversation, this friend and myself, over the last couple of days, it reminded me of my own journey into a place where I felt out of control. A journey when I was younger of epilepsy. It was a difficult time, difficult adjustment. And a few years ago, I actually wrote a poem which sort of described how I felt and how I felt in relation to Jesus with this that was happening. I'm going to read it to you now. Once there was a little girl. She asked Jesus into her heart and she felt him come with a kapow and she felt full of joy. Once there was a little girl who started to have funny turns. She would fall down, shake, sometimes wet herself, and she felt afraid, never knowing when or why it would happen. She took the pills the doctor gave her that made her feel like someone else. She was laughed at, made fun of by the boys at school. Once, there was a little girl who listened to a Bible story. A demon inside a little boy made him fall over, shake, go rigid. She cried herself to sleep, asking Jesus to take the demon away. Once there was a teenager who learned that her daddy that had died when she was 2 hadn't died of a heart attack, but in the middle of a seizure. Demons cheat you of dads too. Jesus? What Jesus? Once there was a woman who found she was having a longed-for baby. But her seizures came thick and fast, and the baby was always at risk. She couldn't describe the relief when she held him close, safe in her arms, and she wept with joy. Not so lucky next time, when she wept with sorrow. Jesus, what Jesus? Once there was a woman who watched her sister collapse in seizures. One after the other they tore at her body. Lots of tumours in her brain, they said. More demons, the woman thought, stealing loved ones away. But as she died, she saw her sister reach out and call to Jesus. Jesus, what Jesus? Once, there was a woman in her 30s who sat in a hospice at the bedside of her grandmother. I'm sorry it's all my fault, she wept as she told her granddaughter of the blackouts and funny turns she'd had as a young woman. I never told anyone. They would have thought I was possessed. And then I watched you every time and it broke my heart, thinking it's all my fault. The woman held her grandmother and spoke gentle words of love. Nobody's fault. It's just the way it is. Jesus. What Jesus? Once there was a woman who stopped having seizures, the relief. But other bits of her body began to let her down. In her brokenness, she could not walk. A friend asked if she could help to heal, help to pray with her. And there he was, her Jesus, and he was holding her, and all her questions, all her anger were gone. And she felt his love, such love. Demons, what demons? Now there is a woman who knows the pain of life on the margins, when her body is not as perfect as others around her, when it creaks and groans and lets you down. But now the woman knows that in her brokenness, she is not abandoned but loved, not judged in anger, but loved, redeemed, held. Now there is a woman that stands and says, "Why me? Why not me?" and smiles in her heart as she thinks of Jesus. What Jesus? Her Jesus. Your Jesus. Everybody's Jesus. I can remember as I wrote that, feeling the waves wash over me of release and recognition of the journey that life had taken me through, and that I still stood, and that I didn't stand alone. And for all those people who are struggling, battling with any kind of physical struggle, whether it's COVID, whether it's anything else, the question why and why me is so much on people's hearts at that time. There will never be an answer that we will make sense of as to why things happen to us. I believe, truly believe, that we do not go through those things alone. And in each phase of my life, in each point of pain, whether I've been aware or not, Jesus has been with me. And as we go through these days and we adjust to lockdown, as we lose those we love, as we try and make sense of the world as we don't know it, I want to just end this chat with a line from Isaiah in the Bible. God is speaking to us. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10 gives us that promise of being upheld. Not that we won't suffer, not that we won't have grief greater than we can think we can bear, but we can bear because we don't do it alone. God is with us, and we are there for each other, loving our neighbours. So until we meet again, I wish you well and ask you to love your neighbours and yourselves. Bye for now.